Let's make content. I want to talk about this shooting. There's like a couple different sus things that are going on here that I need to figure out. And there's also been just the media reaction to this whole shooting in the subway in New York City. So a couple different things I want to make note of. All right, Yoshi, I know you want to get involved in this, but you can't help. You're not good at helping. First of all, let's just start at the top. The cops in New York City are one of the biggest gangs in the world. It's just like literally one of the biggest gangs in the world. Look how fucking many cops there are. And of course they couldn't stop that shooting. All right? So we're going to lead off with that. And then of course I like this little comment here. This is the Soviet victory over Berlin photo, except for American fascists. You cannot like look at this picture and like not feel extreme, I don't know, anger boiling up from beneath and like call yourself a leftist. You cannot do that, by the way. I'm gonna do a little gatekeeping this morning, and I don't mind doing it. Like cops, all cops are bastards. Fuck the police, dude. If we didn't invest so much goddamn money in the police, we'd be able to invest it in our neighborhoods and cities. We'd be able to help out people who need the help versus arming a fucking gigantic gang. Now take a peek. 10 billion in tax money, is that right? I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. The NYPD budget is larger than North Korea's budget. The defense of North Korea. Please tell me where the dystopia is. Look at all these cops. Look at this sea of cops. Not a single one of them stopped that shooting. What's the point? The cops don't stop crime. They rarely resolve crime, solve it or resolve it. If anything, they're making it worse. My question on Twitter this morning was, if cops prevent crime, why hasn't it stopped cops from committing crimes themselves? You got to think about this. All right. I don't mean to call you out, Johnny, dialectically. I like your dialectic. I don't like to confuse like cop organizations with unions, you know? Like the bourgeoisie can't like unionize, right? They can collude, and they do. They would like, but if they were to like make a union, we wouldn't call it a union, right? And that's what the cops are. The cops are a tool of the bourgeoisie. However, they do call it unions. Yeah. With that said, they show us. Maybe I can just tweak what you say here. Literally, a great example. Cop organizations, yes, are great examples of what organization can do. Yeah, of what organizing can do. Yeah, I'll give you that. I just hate to call them unions. I hate to do that to you specifically. But it's not about you, of course. Okay. Once again, policing does not provide safety. Policing is anathema to safety. I like to say antithetical, but anathema is a good word. Policing is violence. It literally is the state going, hey, we have a monopoly on violence, and here are the people that are going to enforce it and do the violence on behalf of the state. You have to realize that. As true as it is today, as it is every day. Let's not forget the fact that cops lie constantly without remorse. They always get away with it. Cops are not required by law to prevent a crime. Did you know that? A group could watch you get stabbed on a subway from behind a locked door and still not face consequences. Why don't you chew on that one too? Left flank veterans pointing out that while the NYPD was slipping on banana peels and falling upside down into trash cans, transit employees saved lives. Quick thinking. Quick-thinking transit workers helped riders escape after gunfire erupted on a N train pulling into the 36th station. Riders were whisked away on an R train that was across the platform. Shout out to the conductors and train operators on both trains. And the cops were doing shit, man. They produce nothing of value. Cops don't have a real job. You realize this, y'all? Like, I have a real job and they don't. Cops don't produce anything of value through labor, historically exist in part to break up actual labor unions.
I am a golden god!
Yep. Conductors are comrades. Yeah. Good morning, Ambulance. Welcome in. I was on the R train, they say. The conductor did an excellent job, both at 36th and then at 25th. Wow. Remember, police officers do not prevent crime. They show up after it happens. Once we understand that basic truth, we can create cities that are actually safe for everyone. Part of the reason our cities are so unsafe is because we pay police officers so much money, and then we make the rest of us so much more desperate. Like that, those funds are not making their way out into the neighborhoods. All right, I got to talk about next how the story's been developing. Did they catch the guy yet? I think they have a lead on somebody. They're on the lookout. Yeah. Oh, thank God. Terry got a text to be on the lookout. Terry's in the neighborhood. Almost got on that train yesterday. Gosh, Terry. Who mentioned Northwoods? It was in a tweet here. All right. But I'm starting here. Thread. Today, the New York Times responded to a mass subway shooting with a relentless string of propaganda. If you're not familiar with this term, that's fine. But please become familiar with it, especially if you live in the fascist police state like I do.
We are a fascist police state.
Let's look closely at how the New York Times used a crisis to boost police talking points and lies in creative ways. This is what they're going to do. They're going to use this to get more cops. If I'm not mistaken, I heard the mayor said something like they're going to double the cops on the subways. Why? They didn't help. By wasting money on more cops, it's not solving any problems. Except, someone's political problems. Eric Adams, he needs more cops to harass houseless people. Yep. Exactly. See what happens when you defund the police, Dan. You're banned. Okay, get out. He just added more subway cops? Great. All right, here we go. First, the New York Times used the mass shooting to direct readers to unrelated articles, awash in police talking points. I've separately addressed the reporting that NYT, the New York Times, used to try to use the mass shooting to get more attention for Here's what you need to know. When you go to an article on New York Times, it'll present the headline, it'll give you a picture, or sometimes then it'll give you like, here's what you need to know, and then it'll go into the article. So here's what it says. Shooting in subway comes amid rise in gun violence across the city. That tells the small brain people, oh, we need more cops. Tuesday's shooting is reminiscent of a string of other incidents in recent years. Same thing. Do you see where this is going? A rise in shootings has rattled the city and colored perceptions of public safety. Do you see where this is going? This is manufacturing that consent for, the opposite of police reform, bolstering police. Right, Yoshi? So this is subtle, but New York Times is making a political move here. It's linking a unique mass shooting event by a lone gunman to the kinds of daily crime stories it's been writing. Suggesting, contrary to the evidence, that neighborhood crime is out of control. They're trying to say it's out of control, aka, let's get more cops. All right, secondly, did you notice that New York Times markets these 3 propaganda articles as what you need to know? Isn't that wild? What you need to know. You know what? I'll figure that out for myself. All right, so what's this? Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation on American soil. We'll have to dig into this later, huh? Is it like super relevant? Let me know. I'm not really quite sure what's happening with that. But reading on, in the thread here from Alec Karakastanis. So it's a mouthful. A pernicious aspect of New York Times is its decades-long effort, not just to shape people's views of the world, like make them, like say, more cops good, but to tell them that it is all the news that's fit to print. New York Times narrowly curtails our worldview and then convinces us that this is all we need to know. Oh my God. Yeah. It presents, I've sort of been talking about this, it presents like that, like a ceiling of understanding. And if that's all you read, then that's all you're going to know. And you're never going to go beyond that ceiling. Read more things than just the New York Times, chat. I'm sure you do. I know you do. Third, let me note a few of the many bad things with these pieces. The lead article on the shooting today did not mention that U.S. is an outlier in the availability of guns, or poverty, or inequality, or lack of mental health care, or that New York just added more cops to subways. In the lead up to this or afterwards? Nowhere in articles about the shooting is the possibility raised that all the investments in new cops didn't and can't stop events like this. So why are they going to be like, let's get more cops, right? It's not based in fact. It's not based in like science. Nowhere in the scientific consensus mentioned violence is mostly not a function of police at all. Why is this missing? Who benefits? I'm going to stop and pause right here and tell you that you should read Alex Vitale's The End of Policing. The End of Policing. This is the book, yes, that Ted Cruz was waving on the floor of Congress. His copy is as perfectly unopened as mine, so he didn't even read it. I've read the audio, it's an ebook. All right, so I've got a reason that this is like pristine. We all know he hasn't read it. Is this the updated one or not? I think I didn't get the updated one. I got the OG version, which is actually awesome. I'm actually happy about that. There's an updated one. Okay. So, why is this information missing? Who benefits from that? You have to ask why.
Why?
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 Why does the New York Times do that? What do they do instead? It points readers to a fabrication by the New York Police Department that a recent decline of 9 homicides in an arbitrarily selected 3-month period was due to a surge of arrests. Sure, because that's how you measure these kinds of things. Let me be clear, the timing of this doesn't add up, and not a shred of evidence supports it. So effectively, they're saying, hey, look at this 3 months. Murders went down. It's because we made a bunch of arrests. Shut up. The stakes here are enormous. New York Times lets police make up stuff, suggesting a link between 4,000 arrests in March to shooting declines in January and February. This would be laughable if it weren't leading millions of people to think that there's some connection between mass arrests and murder prevention. What could go wrong? Who are these soulless ghouls like writing this down and like leading their viewers to think this? Fourth, the New York Times editors went in and altered the initial factual headline to create a narrative. This is one of the more interesting things that Twitter can provide you. People take screenshots. I think there's an app or something that tracks New York Times headlines, and they'll make edits to the headlines, and you could sort of track the edits to the headlines. And it it pretty much is as close a look into like being a fly on the wall in their newsroom as you can get. You know, you could see their thought process as close as possible without actually being in the room. So this is a choice. Why? Who benefits from creating this constant fear? This is what I'm talking about. You're like as close to being a fly on the wall of the, or like a fly in the brain of the New York Times editor, whoever has their thumb on this, right? So it initially said several people shot in, so in's the only word that stayed the same. In is the only word they kept. Several people shot in Brooklyn subway station. That's true. They changed it to shooting in subway station heightens simmering fears about public safety. Like, where they're just pulling this out of nowhere, right? They're just like, you could see some fucking scheming weirdo, right? They're like, this isn't it. Is this what happens when you own a paper? You're like, I'm going to change this. You're saying New York Times has different headlines depending where they're viewed or printed. Chicago version is going to be different than from New York or Florida? Wow. I gotta blow my nose here. Yeah, the person of interest has some weird, wild stuff. We'll talk about it. I love that we all assume he's a cop. The person of interest? Do we assume that? Shooting in subway station heightens manufactured consent for more cop funding. There it is, Nace. So this isn't like manufactured consent for the military-industrial complex, which we've been focusing on as of late. This is manufactured consent for more cops. The prison industrial complex. Right? The fascist police state. This is what happens when you defund the police, Dan. Oh my God, you're the second boomer to make that joke in my chat today. In like 10 minutes. You people. No, it's fine. I love it. As I've noticed, major corporate media have huge incentives to play up fears over certain kinds of harm, but to ignore far larger harms. This thought experiment here. Let me peek at this. Imagine if every day for the last 25 years, every newspaper and TV station had urgent breaking news stories and graphics about the thousands of deaths the night before from air or water pollution, climate change, or poverty. Why is it that every newspaper and TV station focus on crime? You might want to stop and pause and ask yourself. Fifth, New York Times also uses the opportunity to link Eric Adams, the new mayor, defending the return to brutal, illegal, and ineffective broken windows policing. That is very much addressed in Alex Vitale's book. You should read it again, The End of Policing. You'd make Ted Cruz mad.
P.S. Ted Cruz, go fuck yourself.
Incredibly, the New York Times asserts as a fact that the goal of such policing was to prevent more serious crime. My God, dude. All right, broken windows policing is like it's like kind of an analogy that they play out in the real world, where it's like you're on a block and a car or a house has a broken window. You know, if that's not like taken care of, then it's going to become worse, and so they just get really strict enforcement of low-level offenses in order to prevent serious crimes. Broken windows. Maybe I'm misunderstanding broken windows off the top of my head. Is that the idea? Yeah, using selective enforcement to harass people. Yeah. You gotta keep the population in line. I don't know. This New York Times fact would come as a surprise to the generation of scholars who've demonstrated that such policing was about controlling certain populations. What did I just... There's an echo in the room. Serving interests of developers, people who want to build homes and, you know, landlords. Part of a explicit gentrification strategy, boosting overtime pay, racial control, etc. The fucking New York Times, man. Do not give the New York Times your money. This is just pure political propaganda to couch the very specific goals of elite capitalists and police union enforcers as ostensibly about preventing crime. It was never about that, and the New York Times doesn't even suggest anyone think otherwise. Unreal. Yeah. This is a pretty good thread here. So with all the extra clicks that New York Times gets from a breaking shooting, it used the opportunity to stoke fear, steer readers to police lies, highly dubious assertions portrayed as a fact, and science-denying suggestions that more cops and not less inequality is answer to violence. It's honestly no surprise. It should be no surprise to us that like cops do this thing where whenever they deal with houseless individuals, they just, you know, fuck up their camps and just, you know, trash the whole thing, right? They don't solve the problem. And that comes from the very existence of cops not solving any societal problem. They're like, well, I don't get it. Well, I don't get why I'm here, so you might as well just fuck around, right? They have no reason to exist, so it's like that's another explanation for why they just do all this weird shit. They don't know. There's no good reason for the cops to exist. I think they know it tacitly. I feel like a broken record, but it's warranted because the New York Times is a broken record with all the breathless stories about violence. All types of crime in the New York City and U.S. are near historic lows. People literally don't believe this actual fact because of news coverage like this. An emergency focusing on interpersonal crime committed by poor people is being manufactured before our eyes. The same news institutions do not provide the same urgency to genuine threats to human civilization. Air pollution kills 10 million a year, for instance. All right, this is a long thread. Here's Franklin, jumped in a box. That's cute. You done good, chat. We made it to the end of that thread. A little bit more on how the story's developing. Breaking update. No working cameras at Brooklyn subway station during mass shooting. On the MTA, there are 10,000 cameras in 472 subway stations. All of them work, except those three. Can you fucking believe that? What the fuck is that all about? Are we supposed to believe this? They're lying to us one way or another here. That is just off the charts bonkers. I cannot believe this. This is a real... Someone like took a picture of their TV, but I saw another one with a screen cap. This is real. This happened. This went on TV. Can you believe this? Well, that's convenient. Yeah, cool olds. They're acting like the rest work. Those were the three cameras that were defunded. That explains everything. That actually makes sense now. Yeah. So chances are other cameras are not working. But also, why are they going to... Like, they're also saying out loud that all three of the cameras that would have caught this were broken. And that's not sus to anybody? It's not sus that they're using an event to sort of bolster cop support. I'm putting a little tinfoil hat on here. But I want to talk about how I fucking hate it when I'm committing a mass shooting and I drop my credit card. Like, what? Do you believe this? You don't think this is sus? What's actually a more like what? What? You're gonna think I believe this shit? Oh, what's actually easier? Just oh look, I just found this credit card of this guy that we cleared in 2009. The FBI, we cleared him in 2019 after multiple interviews. And then they went on to do this mass shooting. This is their suspect? What the fuck is going on here? Are they setting this guy up? That's the question. I mean, just to come right out and say it, are they setting this guy up? You watched his YouTube videos last night? The suspect's YouTube videos? Oh shit, you went down the rabbit hole. You read the manifesto. I bet you read the Unabomber's manifesto. Wait, Ted Kaczynski? Same guy? What's going on here? I mean, personally, yeah. If I'm doing a terrorism, I might as well have my passport with me. Might as well have my passport with me. His channel is Prophet of Truth 88. Yikes. Yikes? Yikes, right? 88 being Heil Hitler, yikes. Does he have a video about the 14 words? Hey, itty bitty. Prophet of Truth 88. I can't believe Eric Adams committed a mass shooting personally. Yeah, that's what happened. He seems dumb, but it happens all the time where dumb criminals accidentally drop critical evidence leading to their demise. It's due to the chaos of the moment. Well, here's the weird thing. I go down this rabbit hole here, and then people are like, oh yeah, well, did you know 9/11? Like the terrorists, they just happen to find their passports on the scene, like intact. And you're like, wait a second, this is getting weird. Right? Is that sus too? That's sus too, right? Big time hijacker passport energy. That's what I'm getting at. They said they found the hijacker's passports on the scene, and I'm like, what? That doesn't sound right. Right? The U-Haul rental. What's with this U-Haul rental? I don't even know about this U-Haul. They said they found a U-Haul. Paper goods typically survive a plane explosion and building collapses. All right, but can jet fuel melt steel beams? That's the next question. Why is he not caught yet? Yeah, we got to ask. It's just super sus with the passports. He dropped a key to a U-Haul, they're saying. So he dropped a key and his credit card on the scene. Was previously interviewed multiple times by the FBI. And I guess let go. They know who this guy is. They find a credit card and a key. Like, what is going on? Who rents a vehicle with a credit card to go do a crime? To go do like a mass shooting? I have no idea. I don't know what's happening. Was he leaving a trail? Was he a patsy? Hey, Max Albers, first time chatter, welcome in. I think the large part of the conversation should be focused on the clear incompetency of a police force which is bigger than the military of most countries. Yeah, did you just get in? Did you just join the chat? Have you been here the whole time that we've been talking about this topic? It seems like you're trying to correct me. I don't know what's happening here. Yes, sir. Looking to contribute a lot more conversations. You just joined. Okay. Well, you missed the part where we did that. And it feels like you're trying to, like, redirect my content here as a first-time chatter. Welcome in. But yeah, I mean, you're right. The cops fucking suck. They didn't do shit. There's so many fucking New York cops, and they didn't do shit. They didn't stop it from happening. They never do. You're right. Okay. You making fried rice for breakfast? I had some yesterday for lunch. Some leftovers. All right. Hey, that dude Zoot is in the chat. Welcome in. Yeah, we do agree. It's just the comment. I was trying to parse where it was coming from, and now I get it. Okay. Yeah, didn't mean to direct in a different conversation. My bad. Well, it's okay. I think we were talking past each other. We don't know each other very well. We'll get there. Yeah, Nace. This is what it feels. It feels like a cartoon. Walking through New York like, ooh, a piece of candy as I pick up a trail of IDs, keys, family photos, lists of favorite hangouts left by the shooter leading to their current location. It just feels like a cartoon. Yeah. Northwoods is why people think Bush did 9/11. All right. We got back to 9/11 already? Yeah, they'll find the shooter at the big X on the map. Okay. Operation Northwoods. All right, let's touch on this. Let's not forget Operation Northwoods. The U.S. government is absolutely willing to stage false flags to kill Asian people, to rev up tensions, and speculate in fear and paranoia. This also serves as a perfect auspice to increase New York Police Department funding. Again, two birds with one stone. I mean, they can't do it by using science and saying, hey, more policing equals less violent crime. They can't do that. So what they have to do is panic. They have to create panic. That's the move. That's the move they have left. Am I wrong? Is that the analysis? Operation Northwoods. God damn it. I was paused. I got to do that again. It was a false flag. Operation Northwoods was a false flag op against American citizens, originated in the Department of Defense, called for CIA ops to stage and commit acts of terrorism against the military and civilian targets, blaming them on the Cuban government to justify a war against Cuba. Can you fucking believe this? The possible assassination of Cuban immigrants, sinking boats of Cuban refugees on the high seas, hijacking planes to be shot down or given an appearance of being shot down, blowing up a ship, orchestrating violent terrorism in U.S. cities. JFK rejected it. So this is the time, 62, it says here on the date. Zoom, 62. I think that's when Dulles was doing his thing in the CIA. Him and the Bushes traveled in similar circles. Yeah? All right, other proposals in Operation Northwoods include real or simulated actions against various U.S. military and civilian targets. The operation recommended developing a communist Cuban terror campaign in the Miami area and in other Florida cities and even Washington, which involved the bombing of civilian targets themselves, to be blamed on the irresponsible Cuban government to paint a false image of Fidel Castro and misinform the American public. You have to ask yourself how many times they've misinformed the public in your lifetime alone. I mean, we have them talking about chemical attacks in Ukraine, allegedly on behalf of Russian troops. And it's the same people that are telling you that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Well, they said specifically Iraq. And then they use that as pretext to invade Afghanistan. It makes no fucking sense. It's the dumbest place. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So here's the thing. The thing is, this model is suggested to have been used for 9/11 to reignite global tensions. Right? I mean, they do it. They do this all the time. A false flag operation, or they just make it up. Sometimes they don't even need to do it. Right? They just make it up. Oh, they attacked our warship. We have to go to war. Sometimes they just make it up. Okay. Well, that's the clip about the shooting in New York City being used as pretext to increase police funding in New York City. Yeah, Gulf of Tonkin. Remember the Maine. Like and subscribe.